A few years ago, there was a streamer, I think everybody knows who I'm talking about, who was obsessed with me. If I got a girl's number on Fresh and Fit, he tried to do the same thing. Every single thing I did, he copied verbatim. He tried to be me, literally be me. He was obsessed with me.
There's this old line people throw around, the brightest flames don't last long, and right now it's hitting way too close to home. The internet is locked in, watching what feels like a real-time breakdown of Andrew Tate, the guy who once labeled himself Top G. But now, that untouchable image is starting to slip, and instead of control, it's looking more like he's chasing relevance in 2026. The vibe around him isn't the same anymore. Something shifted, and even people just casually scrolling can feel it. That bold, unshakable confidence he used to carry now comes off more defensive, like he's reacting instead of leading. What really adds pressure here is who's stepping up. Sneako didn't just enter the scene quietly, he came in steady and started peeling back layers of that polished persona Tate built over time. Piece by piece, that image is getting tested. For years, Tate carefully shaped how the world saw him, but now those cracks, they're not small anymore. They're loud and impossible to ignore. If you've been online this past year, you've probably noticed the shift too. That whole manosphere wave that used to dominate clips, podcasts, and debates. It's slowing down hard. The phase where creators blew up just by pushing alpha talk and going at modern culture isn't pulling the same attention anymore. Big voices are switching lanes quietly, platforms are tightening rules, and audiences are moving on to different conversations. The space that once boosted figures like Tate just doesn't hit the same now, and that matters more than people think. Because when your whole identity is built on dominance, attention, and staying seen at all times, losing that momentum doesn't just sting, it hits everything. Relevance. That's the real currency now.
Somebody like him knowingly spreading lies when he could be doing what you're doing. What led you down this path and what's keeping him on the other side?
I mean, that's the whole premise of selling your soul. It's like you get a bunch of shit that you want and you lose your integrity for it, right? I got blessed because I got all the things that I wanted already. It's not the center of my universe like it is with PBD, like it is with Tate. You know, it's going to be impossible for those people not to be ultimately compromised if somebody wants to influence.
And when someone builds their whole identity on attention, what happens when that attention starts slipping away? Instead of slowing down or switching direction, Tate looks like he's pushing even harder, going straight at anything that keeps his name trending. His latest situation, it's all centered around Sneako, and this is where things start to shift in a serious way. Because Sneako isn't just playing into surface-level drama or chasing clout. He's going deeper, aiming right at the foundation Tate built his reputation on, his principles. To really understand why this clash matters, you have to look back at what Tate's whole empire stood on. For years, he pushed strict, no-compromise masculine values. He told young men to stay solid under pressure, reject systems they don't respect, avoid selling out, and never trade their beliefs for money or approval. His whole message was about strength, discipline, and staying consistent no matter what. And it worked because it felt absolute. No gray areas, no bending the rules. But once the spotlight started fading just a bit, people began noticing things didn't fully line up anymore. That's where Sneako stepped in, and he didn't keep it quiet. According to Sneako, there was a contradiction sitting out in the open, and instead of hinting at it, he called it out directly. Earlier this year, Andrew Tate and his brother Tristan had spent a long time criticizing certain streaming platforms. They claimed platforms like Kick were tied to gambling culture, adult content, and behaviors they believed were harmful to society. They warned their audience again and again, stay away from those spaces, don't support them, don't get involved. The message was clear, don't stand next to something that goes against everything you say you believe in. Then suddenly, something flipped. Tate started promoting that same platform he used to speak against. To a lot of people watching, it didn't look like a small change. It looked like a full switch up.
The stuff that pissed me off. So Tate tweets as soon as the strikes happen, Tate tweets, nobody wants this war. Tate, you have tech teams in Israel. You have tech teams in Israel. You said, you and your brother allegedly said that your tech teams in Israel can pull the plug on your business at any second. That's why Sneako did it. The song's inappropriate. You spent a whole Jewish podcast apology tour pointing the finger at me because of a song that offended the people that brought us into this war. You didn't spend the podcast tour talking about Epstein, talking about the Iran war.
The same person who warned others about those environments now seemed completely fine being connected to them. Whether it was about money, strategy, or just timing, people could see the contradiction clearly, and Sneako wasted no time pointing straight at it. He argued that if someone builds their entire image on rejecting certain systems, then turns around and benefits from those same systems, it weakens everything they stood for in the first place. According to Sneako, this wasn't some small slip. It was a direct break from the principles Tate pushed for years. What made Sneako stand out even more wasn't just what he said, but how he said it. No loud insults, no over-the-top reactions, just a focused argument built around one key point. Principles matter. Simple as that. If you tell millions of young men to stay away from certain platforms, you can't just turn around and promote those same platforms when it suddenly benefits you. That's the standard Tate set himself, and once you build that kind of strict, no excuses image, people will hold you to it every single time.
The regime change mistake in Venezuela. In fact, you were waving around a gun, Andrew Tate, saying, yes, American empire, thank you, Trump. Now the Strait of Hormuz is closed. Why is that? Because they said, if you strike Iran, we're going to cut off the oil supply. Where does US and Israel get other oil? From Venezuela. Dipshit. You fell for the propaganda. We need to invade Greenland. America's good. And then you're trying to run for Prime Minister of England? What side are you on? Are you a Muslim or do you have tech teams in Israel? Are you America first or Britain first? Are you a Zionist or what are you? Or are you just talking?
Things escalated fast after Sneako spoke up. Clips started spreading everywhere across social media, and people weren't just watching, they were comparing. Old podcast moments came back, past statements got replayed, and the internet did what it always does, break everything down piece by piece. The deeper people looked, the harder it became to ignore what didn't line up. For years, Tate pushed the idea that he would never fold for money, never switch sides just for gain. That belief was a huge part of why people followed him in the first place. So when Sneako framed the situation as selling out, it didn't just create noise, it hit directly at the core of Tate's image. At that point, it stopped being basic online drama. This turned into a question of credibility, and that's way bigger. Sneako also made another point clear during all of this. Loyalty should be to the truth, not to any single person. Even if someone influenced you or motivated you before, that doesn't mean they're above criticism. The moment the message shifts when money gets involved, people are going to catch it, and that's exactly what started happening. This time, the usual pattern flipped. Instead of Tate controlling the narrative, he was the one reacting to it. That untouchable, dominant presence he built over the years started to feel different. Less in control, more defensive. The same guy who commanded attention now looked like he was trying to protect it. And this isn't just another online clash people will forget in a week. It points to something bigger. When a brand is built entirely on strict, unchanging principles, even one clear contradiction can shake the whole structure. Sneako didn't go after Tate as a person. He went straight at the base of what Tate built. And once that foundation gets questioned, everything built on top of it starts to feel unstable. This situation isn't really about one streaming platform. It goes deeper than that. It's about consistency and whether someone actually lives by the rules they've been pushing onto millions of followers. As more people started piecing the timeline together, the pressure around Tate didn't slow down, it kept building fast.
Fair to say that the greatest fraud check of all time happened on Saturday when Andrew Tate lost to Chase Damore. He should have never taken this fight. If there was any sort of doubt about him winning, he should have never taken this fight. And now he's going online and he's doing the babyface thing of like, you have to live, and I'd rather try and fail. No, that's not who.
Because online, once doubt shows up, it spreads everywhere in no time. That accusation hit hard across the internet. Some people jumped in to defend Tate, saying he's just adapting to how the online world is changing. But others backed Sneako, arguing this looked like a complete switch from the values Tate had been promoting for years. And once people started calling it hypocrisy, the whole conversation changed direction. It stopped being about platforms or deals. Now it was about credibility and whether Tate still stands on the same principles he once pushed so strongly. Critics began pointing out that his stance seemed flexible when money or opportunity came into play. Meanwhile, Sneako positioned himself very differently, like someone who doesn't bend just to stay popular. He's spoken on major global topics and kept repeating one thing. He's not changing his beliefs just to stay relevant online. Whether people agree with him or not, he presents himself as consistent, and online, consistency is everything. At the same time, Tate's recent moments gave critics more to talk about. Older clips and situations started coming back into focus, and not all of them worked in his favor. One moment people kept bringing up was his loss in a highly talked about match against TikTok creator Chase Damore. That result sparked memes, jokes, and non-stop commentary that slowly chipped away at that untouchable image he once had. On top of that, some of his public statements about international issues confused viewers. People said his takes didn't always line up, while others felt like he sounded overly promotional toward Dubai during serious discussions. All of this built into a bigger storm online, and Sneako kept stepping in, but not with loud attacks. Instead, he framed everything as observation. He presented himself like someone just pointing things out, holding up a mirror instead of trying to start chaos. And that approach connected with a group of people who were already starting to question Tate's consistency. As the debate kept heating up, this stopped looking like a normal internet argument and turned into something way bigger. It became a real test of credibility, and that's where things got serious. Tate built his entire brand on the idea that he wasn't like other influencers. He pushed the image that he would never fold under pressure, never chase money if it meant going against his values. That message pulled in millions of followers who saw him as different from the usual online personalities. But now, people started asking questions that weren't so easy to ignore. If someone spends years warning their audience about certain platforms and behaviors, why suddenly promote those same spaces when an opportunity shows up? Sneako kept bringing everything back to that one point. No distractions, no side topics, just the contradictions sitting right there in the open. His argument stayed simple. If you set strict rules for others, you better be ready to live by those same rules yourself. And the internet loves moments like this. Old clips resurface, past interviews get lined up next to current actions, and every little response gets picked apart. Some people are still backing Tate, saying he's being targeted unfairly, but others are looking at the situation and saying the inconsistency is too clear to ignore. As the discussion spread wider, the pressure didn't ease, it got heavier. Because once credibility becomes the main focus, every move matters more than ever. But instead of slowing things down and addressing the criticism directly, Tate flipped the situation into something else entirely: spectacle. He publicly challenged Sneako to a boxing match.
Andrew Tate's begging to do a fight with me. They asked me not to talk about it, but fuck it, I really owe no loyalty to Tate at this point.
Pulling the focus away from principles and pushing it toward pure entertainment. That move instantly grabbed attention. What started as a debate about values suddenly turned into talk about a physical showdown. But Sneako didn't react the way many expected. Reports online started circulating that the challenge didn't just stop there, it escalated. There was talk of a major financial incentive being added, with numbers allegedly reaching up to $1 million just to make the fight happen.
They just offered a counteroffer. They want me to fight for $1 million. That's how desperate he is to reclaim the top G status, but I stole it.
That's when people really started questioning the motive. Critics began saying this looked less like a genuine challenge and more like a setup for a viral moment. Many believed the goal was simple: put Tate in a position to dominate a smaller opponent, create a huge online moment, and rebuild that powerful top G image in front of a massive audience.
I don't know what audience he's trying to appeal to, but he's trying to do anything to get it back. So they want me to do 1 mil on Misfits. I don't really see any benefit for me. What is he, like 4 weight classes heavier? He already lost a lot of his fight aura, let's be real. After fighting Chase Tamor, I respect people who get into the ring, but after Chase Tamor, the hype for your fight, after hyping yourself up for being a 4-time kickboxing champion, it's not the same as it once.
The challenge didn't come off like a real defense. It looked more like a calculated pivot. Instead of staying in the debate and backing his position, Tate seemed to shift toward creating a spectacle that would grab headlines and pull attention back his way. But Sneako flipped the momentum again. He didn't get loud, didn't overreact, he stayed calm and brushed it off completely. He made it clear the money wouldn't change his life in any real way, and he wasn't stepping into a ring just for publicity. That response spread fast, and it changed how people viewed the whole situation. Now it wasn't about who would win a fight, it was about motives. Sneako's reaction made it seem like he wasn't chasing hype or quick cash at all. From his point of view, stepping into a boxing match with someone whose online momentum looked like it was slowing down didn't offer much upside. If anything, it would mostly benefit the person trying to regain attention. With Tate already dealing with criticism and leftover backlash from earlier moments, including the Chase Tamor loss, the risk didn't seem worth it. And by refusing the challenge, Sneako shut down the spectacle before it could even begin. The internet watched as the potential showdown just faded out. No fight, no big event, just silence where the hype was supposed to be. And without that distraction, attention snapped right back to the original criticism. In the fast-moving world of social media, staying visible takes constant action. And for someone running a subscription-based system like Hustlers University, attention isn't optional, it's everything. That whole model depends on new people constantly discovering the brand. But the environment isn't the same anymore. A lot of the creators who were around during Tate's rise aren't new or unaware now. Figures like Sneako and Aiden Ross have been through multiple internet cycles and understand how these waves work.
Up and address something that I saw on Twitter. I don't want to give this any energy, but this is part of a bigger coordinated attack. And I saw a recent major attack on Twitter today from a lot of people. One, they're posting some Photoshop photos from when I was 15 years old, trying to warp my face together. And there's some other people that I don't want to address at all either, because it gets to a certain point where you cross the line. He lost in terms of, he tried to ruin my career. Many times he said he wanted to ruin my career. And then after the club situation, which he folded over, he went to PBD. And
The audience has changed too. The same crowd that once pushed Tate into viral dominance has grown up, and they're way more skeptical now. Because of that, people started noticing something else. Tate appearing to shift focus toward younger, up-and-coming creators, possibly trying to tap into fresh audiences and rebuild that same level of attention again. One moment people kept bringing up online was Tate's interaction with a rising streamer named Clar, who's been catching attention with a younger audience. Critics didn't hold back. They described the exchange as awkward, pointing out times where Tate seemed to lean into Gen Z slang just to connect. And Sneako? He called it out right away, saying it felt forced rather than natural. After the boxing challenge failed to build real momentum, the situation heated up again. Conversations online started suggesting that Tate was hinting at releasing alleged exposing material about Sneako, while also encouraging clip pages to push certain narratives.
A few years ago, there was a streamer, I think everybody knows who I'm talking about, who was obsessed with me. If I got a girl's number on Fresh and Fit, he tried to do the same thing. Every single thing I did, he copied verbatim. He tried to be me, literally be me. He was obsessed with me. And I thought he just wanted to be famous, and that turned out to be a homosexual obsession.
But instead of reacting emotionally or jumping into chaos, Sneako reportedly stayed controlled and didn't take the bait. He moved carefully and avoided turning it into a bigger spectacle. Because of that, what might have been meant as a strong power move started to look messy, and for a lot of viewers, ineffective. At this point, the conflict isn't about one platform or one disagreement anymore. It's grown into something bigger, a conversation about authenticity, influence, and what really happens when a brand built on strict principles starts showing visible cracks. Instead of going quiet or trying to avoid the situation, Sneako made a fast move that changed everything. He went live and explained what he believed Tate was trying to do before the narrative could fully spread. By speaking early, he removed the element of surprise. What could have turned into rumors and gossip got turned into something people could actually watch and judge in real time. Sneako openly addressed that earlier in his life. Some private and embarrassing material connected to him had been shared online. He explained that some of the images being reposted were completely fake, while others were very old and taken out of context, especially clips from jokes made during a comedy podcast. By putting it all out there himself, he stripped away the shock factor completely. Whatever impact that exposure might have had, it lost power instantly. Instead of looking defensive, Sneako came across like someone willing to face his past directly, without running from it. He also pointed out what he saw as a clear double standard. Sneako questioned why Tate would try to shame someone over old internet drama, especially when Tate himself has been surrounded by multiple controversies and public criticism over the years. That contrast stood out, and for a lot of viewers, it became harder and harder to ignore. At this point, it's not just random internet drama anymore. It's something bigger unfolding right in front of everyone. What people are really watching now is a shift in influence happening live. For years, Andrew Tate controlled the conversation online. He shaped debates, dominated podcasts, and filled timelines with viral clips. But now, the energy around him feels different. Instead of setting the tone, critics say he's reacting more than leading, jumping on headlines, chasing viral moments, and calling out smaller creators just to stay in the mix. From talk about leaked images to awkward attempts at using trending slang to connect with younger audiences, that once solid top G image doesn't hit the same anymore. On the other side, Sneako has taken a completely different route. He's leaned into bigger topics, speaking on global issues, openly sharing anti-war views, and calling out people he believes aren't being genuine. He keeps repeating one thing. He's not switching up his beliefs just for quick money or online attention. Whether people agree with him or not, that consistency is becoming a key part of how he's seen. If you zoom out and really look at how the internet has evolved over time, a pattern starts to show. Platforms change, audiences grow up, and trends don't last forever. The creators who actually stick around long-term are usually the ones who stay aligned. What they say matches what they do. Over time, authenticity starts to matter more, while pure spectacle slowly loses its impact. And that's where the lesson becomes clear. The internet moves fast, faster than most people expect. The same audience that pushes someone to the top can just as quickly move on. One year, someone is everywhere, every clip, every debate, every timeline. The next year, they're fighting just to stay relevant. A lot of people believe that exact shift is happening right now. The same tactics that helped Tate blow up across the internet just don't carry the same weight anymore. Shock value fades, constant controversy stops feeling new, and audiences, they start asking tougher questions about consistency and credibility. That kind of pressure is hard to escape, especially when your entire brand is built on strict, no-compromise principles. At the same time, a new wave of creators is coming up with a different strategy. Instead of relying on loud moments and constant clashes, they're focusing on alignment, making sure their actions match their message. And that builds something way more valuable: trust. Because trust can't be forced. It doesn't come from sponsorships, big challenges, or viral stunts. It builds slowly, and once it's there, it holds stronger than hype ever could. That's exactly why the Tate versus Sneako situation pulled so much attention. For a lot of viewers, it felt like two different eras of the internet colliding. One side represents the old formula, dominance through noise, spectacle, and constant presence. The other side reflects a shift toward consistency, clarity, and playing the long game. When people see that kind of change happening in real time, the conversation naturally grows bigger than just the individuals involved. It turns into something else, a reflection of how influence actually works online and how quickly it can change. Because in the end, surviving in this space isn't about short bursts of attention. It's about longevity. Creators who stay grounded in their values tend to outlast the hype cycles that build people up and tear them down just as fast. And here's the twist. What started as an attempt to embarrass Sneako ended up turning the spotlight right back onto Tate. The accusations, the challenges, the attempts to stir up controversy, they didn't break Sneako's position. Instead, they made more people question Tate's motives. For many viewers, this whole situation didn't damage Sneako. It exposed how hard Tate might be pushing to stay relevant right now. The image today doesn't match the one Tate built years ago. That untouchable aura, it's not as strong as it used to be. The dynamic has shifted, and whether that change is temporary or permanent is still unclear. But one thing stands out. The momentum is real. If you're watching closely, you can see it happening in real time.